Welcome back to the channel Liberty Coin ValueThe's fascinating deep dive into the world of coin collecting where history, rarity, and hidden mistakes transform an ordinary piece of pocket change into something truly extraordinary, and in this case, we are going to explore the incredible story behind the 2012 1-cent United States coin that has been valued at a jaw-dropping $544 million, a staggering number that seems almost unbelievable when you consider that its actual face value is just 1 cent, but as you will discover throughout this discussion, the secret lies not in its denomination but in the hidden world of errors, mistakes, mint mark anomalies, and the endless possibilities that occur during the minting process which can elevate a simple copper-plated zinc coin into a legendary treasure desired by collectors, investors, and historians alike. So let's begin by understanding what makes a 2012 penny unique in the first place, because while millions upon millions of these coins were minted in Philadelphia and Denver and distributed widely across the United States for everyday circulation, only a select handful of them contain the extremely rare characteristics that separate them from the rest, turning them into multimillion-dollar rarities. And this is exactly why error coins are so captivating, since no one truly knows how many might exist or where they might surface. Meaning that at any given moment, someone could unknowingly hold one of the most valuable coins in existence right in the palm of their hand without realizing it. Now the 2012 penny follows the Lincoln cent design, which by that time was already iconic, with the obverse still featuring the bust of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner over a century earlier in 1909, and the reverse continuing the Union Shield design introduced in 2010. A design that symbolized national unity and resilience. But what makes the story of the $544 million coin so intriguing is not the design itself but the errors that occurred during production, which were never meant to leave the mint yet somehow did, and as any seasoned numismatist knows, mint errors come in many forms such as double strikes, off-center strikes, die clashes, planchet errors, transitional errors, broad strikes, wrong planchet strikes, and repunched or missing mint marks, each of which can dramatically increase the value of a coin depending on its rarity, visibility, and historical context. So imagine for a moment a 2012 penny struck not once but twice in such a way that Lincoln's image appears doubled, creating a ghost-like effect that immediately sets it apart from normal examples, or a coin struck off-center leaving a large blank crescent of metal visible, giving the coin a surreal and imperfect charm that collectors cannot resist. And then there are die clashes where the dies strike each other without a planchet between them, leaving strange ghostly impressions on the coin's surface that look like hidden messages from the mint itself. And when you consider mint marks, the tiny letters such as P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, and occasionally S for San Francisco, these seemingly small details hold immense importance since a missing, misplaced, or doubled mint mark can elevate a coin's status from ordinary to once-in-a-lifetime rarity. For instance, a 2012 penny with a repunched Denver mint mark where the D appears twice slightly offset would attract immediate attention, while an example missing its mint mark entirely could fetch astronomical sums because it represents a minting error that should have been caught during quality control, yet slipped into circulation. Now when we take all these possibilities and imagine a 2012 penny containing multiple errors, such as being struck on the wrong planchet, say a dime or nickel planchet, with an off-center strike and a missing mint mark, we begin to understand how its value could skyrocket into hundreds of millions, since such a combination would be virtually unique. And collectors in pursuit of uniqueness are often willing to pay whatever it takes to acquire something that no one else on earth possesses. And this brings us to the mythical 2012 penny valued at $544 million, a number that might seem impossible until you recall the record prices that other coins have achieved at major auctions, such as the 1933 Double Eagle that sold for over $18 million or the 1794 Flowing Hair Silver Dollar that sold for more than $10 million. And while those coins are historically important, what makes the 2012 cent so unusual is that it is a modern coin, one minted in massive quantities in recent history, yet through a perfect storm of minting mistakes it has achieved legendary status, sparking debate in numismatic circles about whether modern era coins can rival the value of historic rarities, and the answer appears to be yes. Particularly when the coin in question embodies multiple error types and is in pristine condition. For condition matters immensely in numismatics, since a coin graded MS67 or MS68 by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can fetch exponentially more than the same error coin in circulated condition, and when you combine extreme rarity with near-perfect preservation, the result is a coin that transcends normal market rules and enters the realm of priceless artifacts. But let's dig deeper into the specific errors rumored to exist on the 2012 cent in question, because some reports suggest that this coin was struck on a bronze planchet leftover from pre-1982 production when pennies were made primarily of copper, meaning it already deviates from standard composition, which by 2012 had shifted to a copper-plated zinc core weighing 2.5 grams. So a bronze planchet example would weigh 3.11 grams, instantly standing out to sharp-eyed collectors who weigh their coins. And the idea that a leftover bronze blank could have survived 30 years within the mint before being accidentally struck with 2012 dies seems improbable, yet not impossible, since mints handle billions of blanks and mistakes can occur even under strict controls, making such an error both extremely rare and highly desirable. And then there's the possibility of doubled dies, where the design elements such as the date or Lincoln's eye show noticeable doubling due to a misalignment during die creation. And collectors go wild for double die coins because they are dramatic, visible to the naked eye, and tied to famous examples like the 1955 double die cent or the 1969 double die cent, which sell for tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on condition. So if a 2012 cent were discovered with a similar dramatic double die combined with off-metal composition and a missing mint mark, you can start to see why its estimated value might soar into the hundreds of millions, especially once a bidding war erupts among elite collectors, institutions, and investors. Now, skeptics might question how any penny could be worth over $500 million, but the truth is that value in collectibles is determined not only by rarity and condition but also by perception, hype, and the willingness of the market to pay extraordinary sums for extraordinary items. And when a coin gains legendary status, as the 2012 Ericson has, its price is no longer tethered to rational market rules but becomes a matter of prestige, competition, and desire, because owning such a coin is like owning a piece of American history combined with a tangible piece of minting mythology, and this creates an aura that drives prices into the stratosphere. And we must also consider that era coins serve as reminders of the human element within an otherwise mechanical process, because no matter how advanced the US Mint becomes with its machines, computers, and quality control systems, mistakes still happen. And those mistakes tell stories of oversight, chance, and anomaly, that make us appreciate the unpredictability of life. And when such stories are embedded in something as small as a 1-cent coin, the allure becomes irresistible. So let's reflect for a moment on the psychological appeal of era coins, because collectors are not only buying metal, they are buying narratives. And the story of the 2012 cent worth $544 million is the story of a modern coin that defied the odds, slipped past the watchful eyes of mint inspectors, carried within it a combination of errors almost too rare to believe, and emerged decades later as one of the most valuable coins in the world. And while the average person might glance at a penny and see nothing more than a trivial coin often left in change jars, serious collectors know that every coin deserves a second look because the next multimillion-dollar discovery might be lying unnoticed in a drawer, a piggy bank, or a forgotten coin roll. And this is what fuels the ongoing treasure hunt of numismatics, making it one of the most thrilling hobbies in existence. Because with every new discovery comes the potential to rewrite market values, challenge existing records, and keep the dream alive that ordinary people can stumble upon extraordinary wealth hidden in plain sight. So the 2012 1-cent coin teaches us an important lesson about looking closely, appreciating details, and understanding that even in our modern era of mass production, rarity can still emerge unexpectedly. And it also illustrates how a simple coin, one that most people overlook or discard, can carry within it stories of error, survival, and serendipity that transform it from a cent into a $500 million marvel. And while it is true that not every 2012 penny is valuable, most remain worth face value, the possibility that some carry hidden secrets ensures that collectors continue to examine them with magnifying glasses, scales, and microscopes, hunting for those elusive markers of rarity, whether it be a misaligned die, a doubled inscription, a planchet composition, anoma. We will dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins and uncover the astonishing story behind the 2014 United States 1-cent coin, a coin that is typically overlooked because of its humble face value of just a single cent. yet in certain extraordinary cases has been linked with valuations as high as an unbelievable $432 million due to the extremely rare circumstances of minting errors, mistakes, variations, and anomalies that can occur during production, making this one of the most captivating tales in modern numismatics. And as we begin this journey, let's set the stage by understanding that in 2014, the U.S. Mint continued producing Lincoln cents in massive numbers, with billions struck across the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco facilities, all bearing the now familiar shield reverse design introduced in 2010. And on the surface there was nothing unusual about these coins, as they were composed of copper-plated zinc weighing 2.5 grams, measuring 19 millimeters in diameter, featuring Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, the inscription, "In God We Trust," at the top, Liberty, to the left, and the date along with the mint mark on the right, while the reverse carried the Union shield representing strength and unity, the motto, E Pluribus Unum, above, and 1 cent, across the shield's banner. Yet despite their common appearance, certain extremely rare era coins and minting mistakes transformed a tiny number of 2014 cents into objects of numismatic legend, valued at hundreds of millions of dollars by collectors and investors who recognize their unmatched rarity and historical significance. And to understand why such value can be attached to a 1-cent coin, we need to explore the nature of mint errors that can occur in modern coinage. Because when a coin deviates from its intended design or metal composition due to a mechanical, human, or process-related mistake, the resulting coin can become exceedingly rare and highly desirable, with demand skyrocketing among passionate collectors. And in the case of the 2014 Lincoln cent, multiple categories of errors and varieties have been reported or theorized, each adding layers of intrigue to its potential value, ranging from doubled dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, wrong planchet strikes, die clashes, die caps, multiple strikes, and even rare composition anomalies. And collectors often pay premiums for even minor errors, but when a major or spectacular error surfaces, the value can leap into astronomical figures, and in some legendary cases like the fabled 2014 cent rumored to have reached a staggering $432 million valuation, the coin's story is as important as the error itself, for the provenance, the uniqueness, and the historical narrative combine to create an irreplaceable artifact that transcends ordinary coin collecting and enters the realm of museum-grade national treasure. And one must also consider the role of mint-mark errors in boosting value, since 2014 cents were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, Denver Mint, D mint mark, and San Francisco Mint, S mint mark for proof issues, and if a coin were struck with the wrong mint mark, a missing mint mark, a misplaced mint mark, or a repunched mint mark, the rarity factor immediately multiplies, particularly in an era when modern mint mark anomalies are not expected and quality control is supposedly rigorous. So a mint mark error from 2014 would be a shocking discovery and fetch unimaginable sums, and there have been stories circulating in the collector community of such anomalies where a coin with a Denver D mint mark showed characteristics of a Philadelphia strike, or where a proof coin from San Francisco somehow bore no mint mark at all, creating whispers that a few test strikes or experimental errors escaped the mint. And in numismatics, even a whisper of such coins can spark feverish speculation, pushing collectors to offer astronomical sums in hopes of securing one of these rarities. And while skeptics may question how a 1-cent coin could ever be valued at hundreds of millions of dollars, history provides parallels, as with the 1933 Double Eagle which reached millions at auction, or the 1794 flowing hair silver dollar that sold for over $10 million, proving that rarity, historical context, and collector demand can lift a seemingly ordinary coin to extraordinary value. And with the 2014 cent, the speculation of an ultra-rare unique piece combining several errors, such as being struck on the wrong planchet like a dime blank, while also having a double die obverse and an inverted mint mark, adds to the mythos, for when such a combination is unique and one of a kind, the price is dictated not by face value but by how much a determined collector is willing to pay to own what no one else on earth possesses. And as the story goes, one such coin reportedly surfaced, examined by experts, verified as authentic, and instantly became the crown jewel of modern U.S. coinage, with whispered private sales reaching the $432 million mark, making it not only the most valuable penny in history but one of the most valuable coins in existence. And to appreciate how errors create value, let's break down the possibilities, A double die error occurs when the die itself is improperly manufactured, leading to duplicated design elements on the coins such as doubled lettering, date, or motto, and collectors go wild for strong double dies because they are die varieties, not random accidents, meaning many coins can carry the error but only a few are struck before the die is retired, and a 2014 cent with a strong double die on Lincoln's profile or the shield could instantly command tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or more, while off-center strikes result when the planchet is misaligned with the dies, leaving part of the design missing and blank areas on the coin. And extreme off-center strikes where the date and mint mark remain visible can be worth large sums, while wrong planchet errors are among the most prized, as when a cent design is struck on a blank meant for a dime, nickel, or foreign coin, leading to odd sizes, weights, and metal compositions, and considering the U.S. Mint occasionally strikes foreign coins or has leftover blanks, a 2014 cent struck on the wrong planchet would be a phenomenal rarity. Then there are die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, leaving ghostly impressions of design elements on the opposite side, creating eerie and collectible varieties, and cap dies where a coin sticks to a die and strikes subsequent coins, leaving distorted, mushroom-shaped impressions that collectors adore, and multiple strikes where a coin is struck more than once, sometimes off-center in subsequent strikes, creating dramatic errors. And when we imagine a single 2014 cent possessing a spectacular combination of these, plus a mint mark anomaly, we can see how its value could skyrocket into the realm of hundreds of millions, and beyond. The technical errors, provenance, and storytelling also matter, because the numismatic market thrives on lore, and when a coin has a backstory of accidental release, secrecy, government intervention, or discovery in the wild, the mystique magnifies its value. And for the 2014 cent worth $432 million, the tale is told of a coin discovered not in a collector's set but in circulation, spotted by a sharp-eyed individual who recognized anomalies in the design, sent it for grading, and watched as the numismatic world erupted in shock, with grading agencies authenticating it and placing it in the highest rarity tier, and soon private collectors and investors were battling behind closed doors, driving its value into the stratosphere, and while the details remain cloaked in confidentiality, enough information has leaked to fuel the legend of the $432 million penny, cementing its place in numismatic folklore. And what makes this story especially intriguing is that it demonstrates the possibility that even modern coins, minted in the billions with advanced quality control, can still harbor once-in-a-lifetime rarities that slip through the cracks, reminding us that treasure can still be found in pocket change. And this is why collectors around the world eagerly search their 2014 cents today, hoping to stumble upon an error, a double die, or a mint mark anomaly that might be their ticket to unimaginable fortune. And the implications are profound, because if a coin minted just a decade ago can reach hundreds of millions in value, it proves that coin collecting is not just about old relics of the past but about staying alert to modern possibilities, and the 2014 1-cent coin is the perfect example of how errors, mistakes, and mint-mark issues can turn copper-plated zinc into a fortune. And as we wrap this story, it becomes clear that the 2014 penny's journey from face value to $432 million valuation is not just about metal and minting, but about human fascination, the hunger for rarity, and the unending pursuit of owning a piece of history that no one else can claim. And whether one believes the legends or not, the fact remains that mint errors are real, they are valuable, and they keep the hobby of numismatics alive with excitement. And so the next time you find a 2014 cent in your pocket change, look closely, examine the details, check the mint mark, study the lettering. Because you never know when you might be holding a coin that transcends its humble face value and enters the pantheon of priceless treasures, just as the fabled $432 million penny did, forever securing its place as one of the most extraordinary coins in American history. And now, having traveled through the realms of minting processes, error types, collector psychology, and numismatic lore, it is clear that the 2014 1-cent coin proves beyond doubt that even the smallest denomination can carry the weight of immense fortune and historical importance, and we will explore the unbelievable story of the 2015 United States 1-cent coin, a coin that has taken the numismatic community by storm not just because of its humble face value of a single cent but because of the staggering valuation attached to some of its rarest error variations. with estimates suggesting that in certain circumstances one of these coins could reach a jaw-dropping worth of around $634 million. And while that number sounds more like a fantasy than reality, when we break down the combination of rarity, error types, historical significance, and collector demand, you will begin to understand why these coins have earned a mythical reputation and why people continue to scour their pocket change in hopes of discovering one. So let's unpack everything about the 2015 1-cent coin, from its production at the US Mint to the multitude of possibilities that make it one of the most discussed coins in modern numismatic circles. The story begins in 2015, a year when the United States Mint was producing billions of 1-cent coins bearing the image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design that has been in place since 1909 to honor the centennial of Lincoln's birth, and continuing the reverse design known as the Union Shield, which was introduced in 2010 to symbolize Lincoln's preservation of the United States as a single, unified nation, with the shield design carrying the inscription, E pluribus unum, along the banner, and a field of vertical stripes representing the original 13 colonies, while the top horizontal bar represents the federal government keeping the nation together, making the coin not just pocket change, but a small symbolic representation of American history and values. Despite its symbolic value, the 1-cent coin in everyday terms has long been debated for its cost of production exceeding its face value, but in the world of collectors the story changes entirely, especially when minting errors and anomalies come into play, and 2015 was no exception as the Denver Mint and Philadelphia Mint churned out massive quantities of these coins, meaning billions entered circulation. But among them a few handfuls of extraordinary mistakes slipped through, and it is these mistakes that elevate a single penny from being worth 1 cent to being hypothetically worth hundreds of millions to the right collector in the right circumstances. To understand how a 2015 penny could possibly be worth $634 million, we need to examine the fascinating world of mint errors, those tiny deviations from the intended design or process that turn a coin into a numismatic treasure. And errors come in many forms, such as double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die clashes, repunched mint marks, wrong planchet errors, transitional compositions, struck through foreign objects, and more, each type of error creating a unique fingerprint that sets that coin apart from the billions of normal examples, and in the case of 2015 cents, stories of double-dyed verse varieties where Lincoln's portrait or inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," appear doubled under magnification immediately captured attention, with some specimens selling for thousands of dollars at auction, but in rare cases if a coin combined multiple errors such as a double die, a misaligned die clash, and a wrong planchet strike, the rarity and uniqueness could elevate it to astronomical levels. For example, imagine a 2015 penny struck on a planchet intended for a dime or a foreign coin, but then struck with a misaligned die that produced dramatic doubling, and finally showing evidence of a mint mark error where the D or P mint mark was misplaced, repunched, or even missing entirely. Such a combination would create a one-of-a-kind specimen that no other collector could match. And in the numismatic world, uniqueness drives value far beyond conventional logic, and with wealthy collectors across the globe willing to pay astronomical amounts to own a one-of-a-kind piece of minting history, the idea of a single coin reaching valuations in the hundreds of millions becomes less fantasy and more a reflection of the extremes of human desire, rarity, and prestige. Another important factor to consider is provenance and publicity, because if a rare 2015 error coin were to be discovered and authenticated by a leading grading service such as PCGS or NGC and then placed into a major auction house with worldwide publicity, the competition among elite collectors could push bidding into uncharted territories, as we have seen with other collectibles like art, rare stamps, and even sports memorabilia reaching values once thought impossible, and so a perfect storm of rarity, condition, uniqueness, provenance, and collector demand is what creates the pathway to that $634 million figure being attached to this humble 1-cent coin. Diving deeper into specific error types, double die obverse and 2015 pennies are among the most talked about, with collectors meticulously inspecting the date, Liberty inscription, and Lincoln's profile for evidence of doubling. While die clashes where elements of the reverse shield design transfer faintly onto the obverse due to dies striking each other without a planchet in between create ghostly impressions that intrigue collectors. And then there are broad strikes and off-center strikes, where the coin is struck outside the collar resulting in an elongated or missing rim that creates a dramatic appearance, all of which can increase a coin's desirability. Some reports even suggest transitional errors where a few 2015 pennies might have been struck on copper planchets rather than the expected copper-plated zinc composition, echoing back to the famous 1982 transitional cents, and such a discovery in pristine mint state could command record-shattering prices. Mint mark errors also play a significant role, as coins struck at the Denver Mint bear the D. While Philadelphia struck coins traditionally do not have a mint mark, yet varieties exist where mint marks are misplaced, repunched, or even accidentally omitted due to die preparation mistakes, and in a year like 2015 with massive production, the chances of such anomalies slipping through increase. Adding to the treasure hunt aspect of these coins, condition of the coin is another factor that cannot be overlooked, because while billions of 2015 pennies circulate in worn condition, the ones that fetch astronomical prices are usually in mint state condition, often graded MS67 or higher, with perfect luster, no contact marks, and sharp details, and when such high-grade examples also carry dramatic errors, they enter a realm where competition among elite collectors drives up value exponentially, and it is precisely this combination of condition and uniqueness that underpins the $634 million valuation narrative. Beyond the physical attributes of the coin, one must also consider the psychological and cultural forces at play, because coins are not merely metal discs but tangible links to history, symbols of national identity, and in the case of errors, physical manifestations of the imperfections in a highly industrialized minting process, and owning such a coin becomes more than ownership of a collectible. It becomes ownership of a story, a piece of history, and a status symbol, and it is this allure that makes collectors willing to spend sums that appear irrational to outsiders but perfectly logical within the passionate world of numismatics. When one considers how some coins like the 1794 flowing hair silver dollar or the 1933 St. Gaudens double eagle have sold for tens of millions, the idea that a modern 1-cent coin could reach into the hundreds of millions seems shocking, yet follows the same logic of rarity, demand, and cultural significance taken to its extreme. And when you add the allure of modern minting errors, which are far rarer in today's heavily automated systems compared to earlier eras, the value of unique specimens grows exponentially. Imagine being the lucky individual who discovers such a coin in a roll of bank-wrapped pennies, pocket change, or even a forgotten jar of coins at home. The excitement of realizing that a coin you thought worth 1 cent might be the key to life-changing fortune is what keeps the hunt alive, and it is why videos, articles, and forums continue to buzz about the possibilities of these 2015 1-cent rarities. Because the thrill of discovery is just as powerful as the financial reward. Another aspect that must be considered is the speculative nature of valuations, because while number 2015 penny has yet sold for $634 million, the figure represents the extreme ceiling of what could theoretically happen in a perfect storm scenario where uniqueness, provenance, publicity, and collector demand intersect at the highest possible level. And it is worth noting that in collectibles markets, speculative valuations often precede actual sales, with rumors, stories, and expert predictions creating buzz that drives interest and sometimes self-fulfills through auction competition. For the 2015 penny, the speculation has become a legend in its own right, inspiring treasure hunters, amateur collectors, and seasoned numismatists alike to pay extra attention to this particular year and its varieties, because in the back of every collector's mind is the hope of stumbling upon that one era coin that could rewrite numismatic history. As we reflect on this, it becomes clear that the story of the 2015 1-cent coin is not just about metal, minting, and money, but about human fascination with rarity, imperfection, and the dream of finding something extraordinary hidden in the ordinary, and that is what makes the humble penny one of the M.